Hello, welcome back to BlenderSushi live noding. Today I'm gonna cover something that's quite important for animating. So as we already know, with animation nodes we have a bunch of actually that's Photoshop. That's animation nodes. With animation nodes we have a bunch of objects that relates directly to animation, and they're kindly called. The node is named with animate at the front, so you can say animate between two numbers, you can animate vector, Euler, quaternion, matrix, or color. But however, these guys, the naming can be kind of scary for animators. Let's say animate a number. Of course, that means you can animate between two numbers, and you just think about the start point and the end point. And of course, you can use the numbers to kind of interpolate between like a two keyframe or something. Um, However, all those can still be kind of a little bit scary sometimes. So this is like, say we have the time coming in, and then we have the durations like 20 frames. The start and end is it start from 0 and at 10, and the number goes from 0 to 10 in about 20 frames. So that's animate float. And then you have this animate vector. Animate vector just means you are animating like a, let's say it's a, you have a points and you animate it moving 10 points to the side. You can animate it like maybe in X directions, something like that. And it might not be too obvious with animate vector, so because you can't see anything here, although obviously you can have like an object transform like this, object transform output, and then we select that object and we put in the vector output, and then now we can see an animation. But yeah, that's still not so obvious. If you take a look again once more, animate number, vector, Euler, and quaternions, they are for rotations of objects, and matrix is for the full transformation of objects, and then color is obviously you can animate color. There is one that's actually kind of missing, but I will soon show you. The animate vector itself, I just want to point it out. So if you have like a line mesh, you can animate this is the line object, right? And then you could output it. So by default, the line mesh didn't output anything, but you can turn it into a real object data. So create an object, empty objects, and turn on mesh data, and just plug in the vertices and the edges. There's this a conversion combined mesh data. We already know that, and you can obviously you can animate that, okay? But you can of course use animate vector and then just animate the end vector, and that's a little bit more friendly, I guess, for animators. So you just animate between two value, and you're creating, you know, the beginning and the end, start and end. So that's all good and fun. And however, there's one thing that's not too obvious. If you go to compositing, not Photoshop, animation nodes, you don't see, there's actually one nodes that you can use, and that's really simple. If you're, and it's the shape keys. So shape keys, we have some like 5 nodes dealing with shape keys. Let me just summon all those nodes. Shape key. And for animators, ShapeKeys is really useful and really important in animating. In other software package, it's called Blendshapes or something, or Morph, and we have a bunch of them. So 5 nodes dealing with ShapeKeys, and these guys can be really useful. Let's say, suppose you have the, let's start with this guy. So here you have this, just a box, and you want to create just a single ShapeKeys. I just go to edit mode, and then I go to face, and I'm transforming this guy up, maybe like just like that. So this is the start, and this is the end, the start and the end. And Blender ShapeKeys is also quite interesting, I found. It can be quite robust, although it's not so obvious for people. I also, since my background is not using Blender, I was a Maya user, and I use Maya often, and then Maya use something called Blendshapes. Blendshapes in Maya is particularly good, although it has problem with yeah, I don't want to talk about it, but Maya's Blendshapes is okay, but Blender has something called ShapeKey, and you can blend between the two. And I'm sometimes still familiarizing myself with this. But the basic concept is you have the final shape, and you have the original or the base shape. You can have multiple. For now, I'll just keep it just 2 shapes: the base object and then the final mesh shape. I select this guy and select that guy, and then I create shape key. Join at shape keys. I usually use join as shapes, so join as shapes. Now if you take a look under this guy data, we have these shape keys. Okay, and we can tell that's the base object, and then that's the shape key, the target mesh. So it's really simple. So it goes from 0 to 1. It's actually perfect for teaching animation nodes, kind of the concept of animations. You have just you can have multiple shape keys, but for now I'm keeping it like from 0 to 1, like that. And so how is this going to be useful inside animation nodes? Now let's see. We have shape keys input, we have shape keys output. I'm interested with these two for now. There's also this guy, shape keys from object. This is gonna be useful, and we're definitely gonna use this. For now, we're just gonna use these two. This guy is a little bit complicated. It's doing a list, and then you can combine a list of shape keys. I don't know yet if this is fully working. Maybe it does. For now, just keep it simple. I'm just gonna, so this is target morph. We actually can delete that, I think. So we just have this cube. This is our master object. And of course, I'll save this real quick. And ShapeKeys 001. Save often. It's good practice. So with this guy, I can just select that object and then turn on the value, and now I can animate the blend shape or the shape key animations inside animation nodes, just like that. And that's really good, really good basic, because you can quickly create like a complex animations that way. If you look at the shape key output node, there is like extra things like name, mute. Name can be useful, don't worry about it. And mute is actually useful because you can turn on and turn off shape keys, and there's lots of application of that. If you have like a head facial expression for character, or some other things. I cannot tell you all the examples from top of my head, but I'll have a think. But this is the basic of it. Okay, a single object and a shape keys. It's really, it's not so useful, you might think, but if you use it, if you duplicate the objects, you will soon find out that this can be really powerful. Let's say if I like grid arrange objects. So with this template, we have like a grid kind of construction with a cube and the shape keys. What we can do here, we put the shape keys output inside the loop, and then we duplicate our object. This is our master objects. We just duplicate it, and it turns into this kind of construction, and we can lay it out more properly. Okay, so we have this master object. We don't need to worry about this guy anymore. And here, if we plug in the objects, so for each, okay, do it like this. For each object that's object instance, we can now animate the shape key like that, and it's doing it all at the same time for that, for every one of them. So we might want to stagger it, and we already learned how to. Here you might notice that there's a shape keys from object nodes, and then we can pick the shape keys, because we can have like a multiple shape keys. This is also very important for you to know. For now, we only have one, so don't worry about it. But here you can use something like delay animation. So let's try. Before I do that, I think I might need to turn on the dip copy. So with dip copy, each one of them is now kind of like a separate thing. You can individually control the shape key value. So if we use delay time, for example, the delay is what's matter. Time doesn't matter too much. It just means that for each object now you can have different time running, and you can delay and stagger it. Normally, if you plug in the index into the delay, you can have like a stagger effect, and plug the value in. Now, you see, we have that kind of complex animation already, and it's almost kind of like magical. This, I've never seen this. I've never seen this can be so easily be done like this using Blender and animation nodes. I like this the way Blender handles shape keys. Here you can also further randomize, just like previous videos. I think I actually talked about this. You can randomize values. You can, and when dealing with animations, just randomize the delay, and then you're good to go. You can use a random number. So random number, and plug in the index. We can now try, just plug that in, and then min and max we can have like -10 and 10. Here the animation is going like it's staggering a little bit, but it's actually more sophisticated as well because it has some kind of random. If you still want to like the order list, You can mix the index and the random number here. You can randomize the seed, of course. The min and max, let's see. So that's kind of really handy. And yeah, this is if you have only like two shape keys, the start and the end. You can also turn on and off the effects with inside animation nodes. That's really useful. And if we now, I want to show you one more thing with the shape keys. I told you that you can have like multiple shape keys, and that's also really powerful. It's as if you can morph one object into many objects, and you can do it within this node environment. So here I'm gonna randomize this guy slightly. There are multiple ways you can approach shape keys thing. I think I will probably do some research on shape keys and how the animators use it in Blender. I'm still, although I learned a little bit of Blender rigging from Nathan Fractal, I think, from his DVD. However, I think I'm not fully confident yet with Blender rigging. I know it's dealing with armature and bones, and then I don't know yet if animation nodes can handle armature in a nice and simple way. But shape keys, I think shape keys is pretty robust already. So here 1 2 3 cube 1 2 3, and it's gonna be our shape keys. The last object is our base mesh. Now we can join as shapes. So this guy, if you look at its data, we can animate the shape key like this, so it's inside it. And yeah, so that's really cool. Now let's bring this guy. We hide the shape key, the shapes, and then we just go back to this guy, turn off all the shape keys, and now let's investigate the shape keys once again inside animation nodes. Shape keys output, and then the value, we actually gonna need a shape key from objects. That's this guy and this guy. Here we have the shape keys. It's actually a list of shape keys. The reference key is probably the base. I haven't explored that part yet, but shape keys is what we are interested in. And we just grab that object. It's just a single object. I didn't make like a duplication or instances. And I can loop the shape keys. So whenever I say loop, that means I'm going to do something to each of the shape keys. And in this case, if the shape keys a value, so for the shape keys, I just plug in that to that, and then we have control over the value. You see how it's doing kind of animating all the values all at the same time? Yes, that's important for you to know. You can also get element, like you saw earlier, elements, get list element. So if you put this guy between the list and the element, oh wait, that's like that. Okay. Yeah, this is like a kind of a gotcha. Of course, this is like a single, just one of the shape keys. We can't. It's not a list, so we can't just do it like that. For that, let me think. shape keys, we could break the shape keys outside here and then put it in here. Maybe I'll show you that as well. So shape key list. So if you bring in the shape keys from the parameter, now it actually comes in as a list, and then you can now pick the shape keys you want to work with. So, with shape keys, the index start from 1, so 1 and then 2 and then 3, and you can actually randomize this. So you can have like a multiple instances, and then for each instance you want to shape keys differently for each instances. That's for you to try. But I want to show you something that's useful. Is so when you use the delay time, but you plug in the index into the delay, and then you plug in the time into value, and you have the shape keys here. Now what you can have is kind of like a not staggering effect, but it's actually, if you look at the shape keys here, you see it start from the first one. It's kind of like filling the first cube, and then the second one, and then the third one. It's kind of the effects of if you have like a multiple obj, not multiple object, like a multiple shapes, and then for each shape is actually a single keyframe. You can morph it like this. That's actually quite powerful. Normally you would use like something like a driver, or there's a script that does this. But here you can play with this, and then you can rearrange it as well. So you can put reorder the animations and have the effects goes one by one. So that's also one thing it's useful to know, and I'll save it now. And shape keys. There's also one more thing that's probably it's not so obvious once again. So if you turn off the relative, now we actually have control over the evaluation time. It's similar to what we did earlier with this kind of setup. However, we have it here. Kind of it goes from the original state, and then second, and then third one, and then fourth one. Everything in one go, and you can actually give this to animators. It can be useful. Now you might be wondering, what if I want to control the evaluation time here, but inside animation nodes? Yes, apparently you can. For that, I will be using a script node. Let's try. So the evaluation time is actually this attribute is called bpy data shape keys blah 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 eval time 29. Yeah, that's the value. So how can we control that inside animation nodes? So we can do that using maybe script node. I tried using the object attribute output. I wonder if this is actually working. If we play with this value, and then if we type in shape keys and then eval time attribute not found, maybe it's a data value has wrong type. Actually, you can just use object attribute output apparently. So that's actually okay, that's actually working. Originally I was gonna create a script node that does this, but since we can do it like this, then we are good to go. And then if you are okay, we have that objects. This is the master objects. If we want to, let's use a template like grid once again. we have grid, and then we want to duplicate this object. Let's get that, and then turn on deep copy, and then rearrange the objects like that. And here we put it inside a loop. So for each object you want to control shape keys. As you can see, it's already working. Very nice. You could delay the effects, the animations. It will delay the time. Plug in the index into the delay, and then plug that in there, and now we have like a staggering kind of effect. This is very powerful. Okay, so of course, if you have like a, this is like a for like a morphing type of animations. If you have like a animations with a keyframing, you can animate it using F-curve animation offset. That's also really useful, and you have this template for you to work with. But if you are like, if you want to just use shape keys to kind of randomize or animate like multiple objects like this, you can do it like this way. It's I think the simplest you can think of. Let's see, if you actually randomize the number, plug in the index there, randomize 0 between 0 and 5, and then you actually use a math here, and then you use addition, plug in the result. Let's now display the time. See how it's also random? It's now random, but with a little bit of variations. Between -5 and 5. Okay? You can animate like a flower blooming, or like a characters with multiple different expressions, each one of them giving a different expressions, or even a character where as long the number of I think as long as the number of vertices are the same and then they have different shapes, you can morph, you can multi-morph like this. So this is really powerful, and then it's not complex at all. You understand blend shapes or shape keys, you can do this quite easily using animation nodes. Okay, so there you go. That's a really basic concept for you to use in your project. Hopefully you find this one useful. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for tuning in to this video. I really appreciate it.